Have you been told that you just need to think more positively in order to manifest what you want? Or do you feel like all the information that speaks about manifesting the life that you want just doesn't work for you? So much of what we see about manifestation is surface level. Affirmations, mantras, positive thinking. And while these things can help, they don't get to the root cause of why you're not at the place in life that you want to be. On today's episode, we're talking about what manifesting really is and how you can actually get it to work on your fertility journey. Welcome to Your Journey to Fertility. This is the podcast that blends both science with spirit to give you all the tools you need as you navigate your fertility journey. I'm your host, Jennifer Edmonds, and for the last 15 years, I've been helping women on their journeys to motherhood and beyond. I believe that combining the latest scientific research along with the best energetic and mindset practices will help you to avoid putting your life on hold and bring you closer to your baby. Here each week, you'll learn ways to support your fertility and trust your body so you can stop stressing that you'll never have a baby and finally walk your path to motherhood. This is the Your Journey to Fertility podcast. Hello, welcome back to the podcast. I love this topic. It is a big one. It's something I get asked about quite a lot. And I received a little message from one of my listeners this week that said, is manifesting about changing your thoughts and thinking positively all the time? Because I do that and it isn't getting me anywhere. I'm still stuck in the same journey of going around and around and nothing is changing. There is such an emphasis, I think, when we are looking at manifesting from, this perspective of, we just need to think better thoughts. We just need to change the thoughts that we have. And there's a lot of blame when you do it wrong, when you're not manifesting properly or you're not doing it right. And I think that a lot of people end up in this kind of situation where they think, I should have just manifested harder. I should have done it better. I should have tried harder. But what we're going to talk about today is what manifestation really is, how it works. And I want to explain to you that no, you are not doing anything wrong. It is not something that you sit down for 20 minutes at the end of the day and think, okay, I'm going to do my manifesting now. It's your whole life. It is your whole experience. You are manifesting at every second of the day. And I think that is where a lot of the misconceptions comes from. Yes, you can have the vision board and you can have those affirmations and you can put all of those kind of, mantras that you want to remind yourself of up on your bathroom mirror. But the deeper work is at the core of what manifesting is. And that takes a lot more time and energy than just having, a few things that you repeat to yourself every day. So I really hope that this episode helps you understand exactly how it can work within your life. I want to give you an example of how your thoughts and your beliefs create your reality. And I've talked about the placebo effect previously on the podcast. So if this is something that you've heard me speak about before, just bear with me. I want to go through it very quickly because it is an extremely powerful example of how your thoughts and your beliefs manifest your reality. So the placebo effect, when we think about it in terms of, say, a large drug company wants to put a new drug on the market and they have to go through a lot of clinical trials. So what they normally do is they split up these people that are in the trial into three groups. One of them gets the drug. The other one doesn't get the drug. And then there's a third group that thinks they're getting the drug, but they're actually just taking, a sugar pill or some saline. And what studies show us time and time again in every study that is put to the test all around the world in different populations, men, women, different ages, it doesn't matter. What we see is that those who think they're receiving the drug get better. And yes, there are varying degrees depending on the study and how it's presented and what the drug is and what they're trying to heal. But how can you explain that apart from the power of your mind? How incredibly powerful it is. If you think that you are taking a drug that's going to make you better, you get better. There is no other way that we can explain that. And I think that is a really tangible way of helping us understand how our thoughts are going to manifest our own realities. So let's be really, really clear. If you deeply desire to have a family or expand your family, or, you're on this journey and things just aren't working out the way that you want, it is not because this isn't something that you deserve. It's not that it isn't meant for you. You deserve absolutely everything that you desire in this life. And manifesting also isn't as woo as some people think. It's not as out there and spiritual as, it might be presented in a lot of ways on the internet and in social media. And I'll explain exactly why as we go. But actually the basis of manifesting is rooted deeply in what science shows us to be true. And that is that the state of your nervous system creates your entire experience in your life, your entire reality. If you have ever felt trapped in these spirals of your negative thoughts, I'm never going to be a parent. This is never going to happen to me. I've left it too late. I'm too old. It's too hard for me. I can't do this. It's never going to work out. All of these thoughts, if that's something that is constantly coming up for you, then this episode is going to really help you work through them. Because you don't need to fight with your thoughts. You don't need to push them away. And you certainly don't need to wait until your mind is completely clear or that positive thoughts are the only thing that occupies your mind, because that is never going to happen. You don't need to wait for any of that to really manifest the things in life that you really want. Your thoughts are not the enemy. And they're just simply think of your thoughts as they're the byproduct of your internal or your subconscious state. They are the symptoms, not the root cause. So what is the root cause? What is the real cause of all of these thoughts? And to get back to absolute basics, it is the state of your nervous system. It is the energy that your body is holding. And it's the identity that you're embodying beneath the surface of all of these thoughts. So basically, it is all of your subconscious beliefs. We've been conditioned to believe that if we just think positively enough, we'll manifest exactly what we want. And this is the problem with, the book and the movie, The Secret, and a lot of the things that we see about manifestation on social media. The mind will follow the body. It's not really about the body following the mind. So we are always going to follow our embodied experience. And what I mean by that is that you're going to follow your nervous system's reality. And when the nervous system follows your programming of it's never going to happen, this is too hard for me, I've left it too late, that isn't going to create the reality that you really desire. If your body doesn't feel safe to hold the reality that you're asking for, then your nervous system isn't going to be wired to be able to hold the capacity for that. You're going to be in survival mode instead of expansion mode. So you can do all the affirmations that you want. Like I said, you can push away all those negative thoughts and you can focus on something else and choose different thoughts. But if your body doesn't feel safe to move into this new reality that you're trying to create, nothing will change. So if you're racing thoughts, the self-doubt, the crazy overthinking, the fear of failure, or that you'll never get what you want to be is running the show, this is just your nervous system's way of screaming at you, I don't feel safe here. And what does the mind do when the body doesn't feel safe? Well, you do whatever you possibly can to hold onto control. And I'm sure you can relate to this. You do all the things and you do them perfectly. You try and rationalize, everything that's happening to you. It's because of this, or I haven't done this yet, or I'm going to do this better next month. We try to logic our way out of it. You try to tell yourself, I'm fine, really, I'm fine, everything's okay. And you can tell yourself that over and over and over again, but your body isn't going to believe it because your body doesn't hear you. Your nervous system is subcortical, which means it lives below the prefrontal cortex. It is below the thinking brain. So your poor nervous system, your body, it doesn't understand words. It doesn't understand what you are trying to tell yourself or tell your body. You can say all day long, I'm happy, I'm safe, nothing's wrong. But unless you actually feel that within your body, it isn't going to believe you. And this is why true manifestation work is not just mindset work. That does come into it, absolutely, but it is somatic work. It is about listening to your body. It's about nervous system regulation, and it's about learning to reprogram your current mode of operation from survival into trust. But where do you even start? Isn't this the $1 million question? And how do you even know what these subconscious beliefs are that are running the show? they're subconscious. So how are you meant to know what's happening below that surface that you're not even aware of? As we know, and as many guests who I've had on this show who are experts in this field have said, we are only really perceiving about 5% of our reality. The other 95% is operating on that subconscious level. The answer lies within your triggers. What triggers you? So seeing a pregnant woman, seeing someone rubbing their pregnant belly, seeing a family with little kids, seeing someone holding a baby, having someone say something really insensitive to you. Maybe it is driving past the clinic or something that reminds you of a previous event that happened in your life that was traumatic, that relates to your fertility journey. All of your triggers, everything that upsets you, that immediately puts you into this survival mode, these are your answers. These are these little gold nuggets that we need to start listening to. Because a pregnant person is not dangerous. So when you look at a pregnant person, you are automatically triggered and you go into survival mode, you go into fight or flight. It's not because that person is inherently dangerous. So why do you react this way? Your nervous system has this incredible part to it called neuroception. And that means that it is constantly looking for cues of safety or danger throughout every moment of every day. So you'll look to things that have happened in your environment. So what does a pregnant person remind you of? That reminds you of, well, last month I wasn't pregnant and I went into such a dark spiral. It affected my relationship, my ability to focus and concentrate and go to work. It affected my friendships and my ability to connect with people that have been in my life. And that really sent me into a dark place. So then your nervous system says, okay, well, that pregnant person isn't safe. And that triggers your nervous system to come into this survival mode. So what do we do about it? When you're triggered, I want you to try and instead of pushing this feeling away, which is hard to do because these are going to be your answers, your subconscious beliefs lie within your triggers. You need to get to know what upsets you, and only then can you start to get to the bottom of why you're not manifesting what you want. Now, I am not saying at all that you will 100% of the time not be triggered. Doing this kind of work doesn't mean that your triggers get eliminated, but they will help you get to a place of acceptance. And there is a big, big difference between acceptance and that's completely fine. You're always going to think, well, I don't really want to go to that baby shower. I don't want that person to announce that they're pregnant. I just know that it's going to hurt me and upset me. And instead of being completely triggered by that experience, instead, you can come to that place of acceptance. The fastest way to shift out of negative thoughts and negative thought spirals isn't to force yourself to think differently. It is to feel differently, to be different in that moment. It's all about becoming that version of you that holds that energy of, I can handle this. I'm safe here. I feel supported. And this isn't a reason for my nervous system to go into that survival mode. So when your nervous system trusts you, your mind stops screaming. And when your mind stops screaming, your whole body and your whole energy shifts. It softens. And that's where awesome things like your intuition gets to come online. Your body gets to be heard. And suddenly the path forward, it just feels so much easier. These little next steps start to get revealed to you. So what I want you to do the next time that you are triggered and that your thoughts start spiraling, I want you to do this. Make a note of what triggered you. And maybe it's as simple as you have a little list in your notes app in your phone. If you have a journal and you like to write things down, that's a really wonderful way to do it. But for ease and convenience, you can use your phone as well. So make a note of what triggered you. Was it the pregnant woman? Was it someone saying something insensitive? You just need to go on a holiday, just adopt, just relax, all of the things that we often hear. What is the emotion that comes up when you are triggered? Is it fear? Is it anger? Is it sadness? Just feel that emotion and know that there is no judgment attached to it. It is what it is. See what comes up and write down that emotion. The next part starts to get a little bit trickier. And if this isn't something that is a part of your normal routine, somatic work is new to you, this is where it might take a little bit of practice. But when you feel that emotion, where do you feel it within your body? Is it in your chest? Is it in your throat? Do you feel heaviness in your head? And how is that emotion in your body affecting you? How does it feel? Is it heaviness? Is it that sort of crushing weight? Is it pain? Is it nausea? Start to get in touch with all of those emotions and how they show up physically within your body. And instead of asking yourself, how do I get rid of these thoughts in that current moment? I want you to ask yourself instead, where am I not feeling safe? And your body will tell you this. So for example, if I think about something really triggering, depending what it is, I tend to get this constriction in my throat. My throat feels really tight, almost like I have to cough or clear my throat a little bit. And that's where I'm not feeling safe. And that's what my body is telling me that there is a problem. So what can you do in that moment? I want you to breathe into the space. And maybe you can't do it in the exact moment. You know, if you are in a meeting at work and you are triggered by something that someone has said, you probably can't go into a moment of, all right, I need to take a step back. I need to breathe. I need to think about this. But you can take that feeling of being triggered with you. And when you have a moment, here is where you can start to unpack some of those things. So if it is your chest, put your hands on that space. Breathe into that space. Really anchor into the present moment and ground yourself back into your body. There are several ways that you can do this. So you can then find a place of safety within your body. I tend to find that my hands feel quite safe. So if I put my hands over those places of my body that feel really tight or really constricted or really triggered, I find that putting my hands over them tends to bring that feeling of safety back into my body. But for you, it might be that you feel safety in your belly, maybe in your head, in your arms, in your legs. It can be anywhere. And I want you to really breathe into that feeling of safety, that area that feels really good within your body instead. Another way that you can anchor into safety in your body is to go through your 5 senses. And this is a really wonderful way to get you into the present. So what can I see? What can I hear? What can I touch? What can I smell? Are there any tastes that I can hold within my mouth? Going through your 5 senses literally means that you can't be in the present. You can't be in the past or in the future. You can only be in the present. Touch is a really wonderful way, again, of anchoring yourself to that moment, like I said. So maybe it is using your hands, maybe even just rubbing your hands together, placing your hands on different parts of your body. Touch is a really wonderful way to remind you that you are safe in that present moment. So this is how we create change when you are triggered. So catching those triggers and how they show up physically within your body is incredibly important. But to really rewire these subconscious beliefs. So it's one thing to catch them and notice that they're there, but it is another thing to start to unravel them and to loosen and sort of change their grip that they have on you. So here's where we need to go a little bit deeper, and we need to know where these thoughts originated, and we need to give your body a chance to let them go. I need to point out that this isn't fun work, this deep work, and I think truly that this is the deep self-care work that we all need to do. And self-care isn't just about going for the massages and the bubble baths and, allowing time to read a book. All those things are really, really important. But to me, true self-care is about going deeper and giving yourself the freedom from these beliefs that have been running the show. So how do we do this? This is something I want you to go really slowly in, and maybe doing all of this on one day is too much for you. So you might want to break it up into parts. Your nervous system needs to be able to pendulate between little things that it can tolerate. So if, doing this work does feel really overwhelming for you, maybe start really slowly. So I'm going to break down the steps for you. Maybe you can do them all together. Maybe you need to do them a day at a time. The first thing you need to do is write out all of your deepest fears and beliefs. So for example, write it as the first person. I'm never going to have a baby. Or maybe it is, I'm too old to have a baby. I don't think it's ever going to happen for me. If I get pregnant again, I'm just going to miscarry. If I get pregnant, I'm just going to lose the baby. Get really, really deep. Go through all of your greatest fears, and they can be They can be sort of surface level. They can be really deeply rooted. I want you just to get them all down on paper. And then you're going to choose one. Choose one of those fears, maybe the one that, if you feel like you have capacity, really triggers you the most. If that doesn't feel possible for you, then choose one that perhaps isn't quite so emotionally charged. You're going to take a new piece of paper and you're going to write down at the top of that page what that fear belief is. And then I want you to just take a moment to really get yourself into a state of calm, because this work isn't something you can do from a place of dysregulation. We need to be rooted in that sense of safety. Our nervous system needs to come into a state of regulation in order to unravel what you're thinking and what you're holding deeply within. So maybe you take a few moments to meditate. We do some deep breathing, some nice slow deep breaths, especially exhaling really slowly and controlled. Anything that helps you get anchored and present and makes your body feel physically safe. So now we need to ask ourselves, when we think this thought, how does this show up in your body? So what are the emotions that are present? Is it fear, anxiety, sadness, grief, whatever's there? And where do you feel it in your body? And this might be something you haven't really thought about. It might be unexpected. You maybe didn't realize this is where you were holding that tension. So write it all down, all of the emotions that come up and where they show up in your body. Next, I want you to ask yourself, when was the first time I felt this feeling or emotion? Don't think about it too much. Don't try and analyze it too much. Usually what we notice is that these deeply rooted fears or beliefs, they come from our childhood. So go back and just ask yourself, when was the first time I felt this emotion? And usually the first thing that comes to mind is the correct answer. I don't want you to overanalyze and use that thinking brain too much. Really just go with your instinct. So ask yourself, what happened in that moment? Was there something that triggered you that is relating to perhaps this potential trigger in your current reality? For example, maybe you are asking yourself, okay, I'm just afraid this is never going to happen for me. And the emotion that comes up is predominantly fear. And when was the first time I felt that fear? Maybe you're reminded of a situation at school when you were young. Maybe everyone got invited to a party and you didn't. All of your friends got invited to this wonderful party and you were completely left out. You felt so left out. And there is a lot of fear that comes along with that feeling of being left out, because community and connection is something that is essential to our survival. Many hundreds, thousands of years ago, if we were left out of the social glue, we literally wouldn't be able to survive. We needed other people. So we are hardwired to need that community and that connection. So feeling this way with friends and others now is a sign that perhaps those really base needs of community were compromised in the past. So you were triggered. And now when you put that into your current reality, you think, oh, I'm so scared I'm never going to have a baby. Well, maybe that goes back to all of my friends have had a baby and I don't feel connected to them anymore. I feel like I'm completely left behind. I can't even relate to them anymore. We have nothing to talk about and I feel so completely alone. Really getting to the bottom of where these triggers are coming from is going to be essential for unraveling and unpacking them. And I wish I could do this work for you. I wish I could tell you, these are your deep-seated unconscious beliefs, but you really need to unpack them for yourself. And that's why this work isn't easy. It takes a lot of really deep personal growth. So that is the second step. Now, the last step and the last part of this is, and this is really hard to do as well. You need to write down 3 reasons why this belief would be okay if it was true. So what do I mean by that? Why would you be okay? How would your life actually be okay if this belief was true? So I'll use the example of, if I get pregnant, I'm just going to lose the baby. So what are some of the reasons that if this belief was true, I would actually be okay? So 3 things that I could write down. I can always try again next month. This isn't my last chance to have a baby. I can try again. I can try again and again. I've got, how many months ahead of me that I can try again for another baby. It's not the end of the world. I could also write down the past doesn't equal the future. So just because I've had a miscarriage in the past doesn't mean that it's going to happen the next time I get pregnant. Or I could write down something that, again, is a hard thing to accept. If I didn't get pregnant and if I did and I lost the baby, I would be okay. I have a wonderful relationship. I have a great support network. I have a great career. My life is full already. I would be okay, even if I didn't have this baby. And this is so hard because we don't want to go there. We don't want to possibly admit that our deepest fears could come true. But I want to remind you that in doing this work, you are not telling the universe that this is what you want. You are showing your nervous system that you have considered the absolute worst case scenario and you survived. Because ultimately, your nervous system is only concerned about survival. So when you can show your body and your brain that you've been there, you've actually considered that this is the worst fear that I could possibly have, but I survived. That's where you loosen the hold over those fears and those triggers and those beliefs. And that's where your nervous system and your brain starts to go, oh, okay, well, sure, this isn't something that we want to happen, but if it did happen, I would actually be okay. This is the work that changes everything. You are not trying to control the mind. You're calming your body. You're not fighting your thoughts. You're healing the foundation that those thoughts started from. And you're not fixing yourself. You don't need to be fixed. You are absolutely perfect the way that you are. Becoming home to your natural state of safety, trust, and alignment, that is where things absolutely start to change. Your thoughts were never the issue. The problem was believing that you had to fight them, or that you had to overcome them, or that you had to do it through force or willpower, or all of these kind of surface level, I'm okay, telling yourself these lies. It's absolutely not the way through. And there is so much freedom in knowing that you no longer have to. Those thoughts can be there. It doesn't matter what your thoughts are and what comes up throughout your day. The real crux of this is to get to those deeper unconscious beliefs. And then your thoughts are not going to matter as much and they're not going to have as strong a hold over you. Now, I want to also just point out here that, this isn't going to cure all of your triggers. You're not going to float through life no longer being triggered and, oh, there's a pregnant person and, oh, there's someone telling me they fell pregnant by accident with twins. And, things are still going to trigger you. I don't want you for a moment to think that, all of a sudden you're going to go about your day just happy as Larry. But what I can promise you is that your physical reaction to these triggers is going to lessen. The nervous system's survival response is going to lessen. It's not going to kick in so often. You won't produce so much cortisol and have all of those horrible feelings that come with that constant state of hypervigilance, of fight or flight or freeze. Now, the next step here is to embody the life that you want. And this is what we're going to be speaking about on the next episode. This is all about healing that heart and womb connection while you're trying to conceive. And what does this mean? And how does it connect you more deeply to your own body and trusting your body? And I think ultimately trusting and knowing that what you want is on its way. So I can't wait to have you back for that episode next week. Like I always want to mention, if you have a question for the podcast, for me, you can always email me or reach out to me on socials. But I also have a link that you can click on down in the show notes below where you can send me a voice note. If you have a question, you want to suggest a topic for the podcast or a guest, I would love to hear from you. If you have 30 seconds, please leave me a quick written review. If you're listening to this on the podcast, you can click on a star rating and just leave a few words there. If you are watching this on YouTube, then I would love for you just to subscribe, follow the show, leave me a comment below. Anything that helps us to get all of this information out to more people is exactly what I want for this show. So thank you for being here. On the next episode, like I said, we're going to be talking about embodying all of the things that we're trying to manifest and why that's so important. So I can't wait to have you back. But until then, I am sending you all my wishes as you continue your own journey to fertility. The most common thing I hear from students who are on their fertility journey is that the stress of trying to conceive has taken over their life. Your days end up being filled with endless appointments, navigating pregnancy announcements. You're trying to eat right, take all your supplements, and it is all you think about from the moment you wake up. I designed the Element Fertility Yoga course to support your body, your mind, and your mental health in 3 important ways: to synchronize your hormones, increase circulation and blood flow, and to help regulate your nervous system. But on top of this, the greatest gift that you can give yourself throughout this journey is a sense of peace, to help you calm your mind and just make this process feel easier. Every single one of my students tell me that this is the first thing they notice after starting a yoga, meditation, and breathwork practice. But on top of this, you have the amazing benefit of actually supporting and increasing your fertility. Studies have shown that those participating in mind-body programs as they're trying to conceive have success rates 3 times greater than those who don't. The course I've designed walks you through natural conception as well as fertility treatments and IVF cycles. And the best part is you can work through it at your own pace in the comfort of your home. The practices start from just 10 minutes per day. To learn more, visit elementpilatesyoga.com or see the link in the show notes.